Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. I would like to give other people an opportunity to join us, and so we will start the webinar in about 3 to 4 minutes. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Once again, thank you for joining us for today's webinar, which is the fifth and final webinar in our series of webinar celebrating the World Space Week, which this year has a theme of celebrating women in space. So our webinar today is going to be presented by a panelist of three. It's titled From Classroom to Boardroom, Using Space to Inspire Science Career Choices. As you or may know also that during the webinars, we have been running a competition where during each webinar, there has been a question posed, and therefore you have an opportunity to answer all the 5 questions, and I will give you today's question in a moment. And if you answer all 5 of them correctly, then you stand a chance of winning a goodie bag, a SANSA goodie bag. So today's webinar is today's question is, how many students did SANSA fund for 2022? The question again is, how many students did SANSA fund for 2022? Please email all your answers, so all 5 answers to spacesci-info@sansa.org.za. That email address is again given in the chat box. Also, similar to the previous webinars, today's webinar will run. If you if you have questions, sorry, to the sorry, correction. The question is, how many students did SANSA fund for 2021, not 2022? So how many students did SANSA fund for 2021? Excuse me, we're working ahead of time at SANSA, it seems. Anyway, if you have questions during the webinar, please post them on the chat box or Q&A box, which we will then attend at the end of the presentations. So without further ado, I'd like to present our first speaker of this afternoon. Her name is Nthabiseng Moloi. She is originally from Puta Dichana in Free State. She matriculated at Retief High School in a small town called Kestel. She has a BSc degree in biology, biochemistry, and psychology from the University of Limpopo, formerly Medunsa campus, and a postgraduate certificate in education from UNISA. She is a science educator in the Science Engagement Unit of SANSA Space Science in Hermanus. Her job entails developing curriculum material for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, collectively known as STEM, for learners and educators. She also liaises with schools to facilitate visits, conduct weekly tours, and holiday programs. Nthabiseng, if you're ready, please go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you, Zama. Okay, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Can you see my screen, Zama?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, camera on and.
Oh my, I'll do that just now. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it. And maybe if you can put your camera on, maybe for like in the beginning, so people can see who's talking, and then you can put it off again if that's what you prefer.
Okay. Okay. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. As Zama has already introduced me, my name is Nthabiseng Moloi from Chaba. Okay, so I'm going to start with I don't know what's happening now. Okay, can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to start with my journey. I matriculated with the following subjects: English, Afrikaans, mathematics, and life sciences, as well as geography. So, and then I later on graduated from the University of Limpopo, which had merged with Medunsa at that time. Then after graduating, I did my internship with DSI, and then I came across an NPO called Teach South Africa, which trains unemployed graduates to work as teachers. So in 2016, I was placed at a rural area to work as a teacher. So I worked as a teacher from 2016 up until 2019. And then life happened, I got married and moved to Hermanus. And in 2021, I then started on the 13th of January, I started working as a science educator at SANSA. What attracted me to STEM is I've always dreamed of being a medical doctor like everybody else, but I never thought that one day I'd be an educator. So just after I got placed in as a teacher, when I got there, the learners were struggling a lot with grade 12. So I helped a lot with physical sciences and life sciences. And guess what? The pass rate went up. That's when I realized that no, I actually am passionate about teaching and imparting knowledge. So what I do now is I focus on creating awareness about STEM, creating STEM career awareness, as well as offering STEM curriculum support. So what do I do here at SANSA? Firstly, I help with developing curriculum-related material for STEM subjects. So what you see on the screen right now is a newsletter that we developed. So we initially started emailing this newsletter to 13 schools every second Friday. And then we realized that the learners were not getting access, not all the learners were getting access to this newsletter. So we are currently working on printing out the newsletter and delivering it to the schools to make sure that every learner gets it. Then the other thing we do, I liaise with school to facilitate visits. At the moment, we were busy with tutoring Kaya Secondary School, which is a local school a local high school here in Hermanus. So we were helping them with mathematics and physical sciences. So what you see in the pictures there, we were helping them with a practical experiment, which actually counted towards their SBA. Then I also help organize more exhibition as well as outreach programs. As you can see, we have a mobile lab. So a very beautiful mobile lab. So what we do with a mobile lab, we take it out to other provinces, especially those disadvantaged communities that cannot come to SANSA. So we take the SANSA experience to them. And then we also get invited to come and do science awareness campaigns at different provinces. Since my arrival here, we've been to KZN, where we were doing a science awareness campaign. It was mainly focused on the grade 12s. And then we later went to Free State, where we focused on grade 10, 11, and 12, doing the same science awareness campaign, as well as offering support in terms of curriculum. We have public tours here at SANSA every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And because of COVID, you need to book because we can only take a maximum of 15 people per session. And we also have schools that write to us that they want to come and visit. And so we can also offer that, and we develop worksheets and special activities for learners. Then we have space clubs. Currently, we have 4 space clubs with 3 primary schools and 1 high school. And they run from Monday to Thursday. So what we do in the space clubs, we help learners with building robots, programming robots, and we, at the moment, preparing them for an online competition that they're going to have. Okay, and lastly, but not least, I also help with supervising the science engagement unit interns with their work plans, and we work very closely together. Okay, so what excites me about working at SANSA? The most exciting thing I love about SANSA is the outreach programs, as I love traveling. So the traveling part of it, getting exposed to different provinces and different learners. And what I also love is the diversity. I work with different types of people from different provinces. And what I also love about working at SANSA is the teamwork, especially when it comes to planning mall exhibition. We have the whole SANSA team supporting us. We taking turns, working shifts, just to make sure that the day is a success. Okay, and we have a science center here at SANSA, which was recently revamped. Very beautiful. And here's another picture of our science center with the exhibitions. Okay, and we have upcoming events. So we are currently busy recording a documentary where we will be engaging with learners from different schools and backgrounds to interview them and hear their perspective on how they perceive attitudes to science in policy making in South Africa. And we also have an online robotics competition that I just mentioned that we're going to have with our learners. And we are currently also planning an Eastern Cape mobile tour as well as teacher training. Please do follow us on our social media pages. On Instagram, we are SANSA_science_engagement. And on Facebook, it's SANSA Science Engagement. If you have any questions, or you are a teacher listening, or you would like to find out more about what we do, please do email me. That's my email address. Thank you.
Thank you, Nthabiseng. It's nice to hear about the work that the science engagement team is doing in terms of exciting the youth in STEM subjects, as well as engaging the public and letting and making them aware about SANSA and space science. And yeah, thank you. So the next speaker on our panel is Juchelle Ontong. Juchelle is a SANSA student administrator. She started her career journey as a student assistant in the financial aid office of UWC after completing her BA degree majoring in psychology. She then worked as a bursary consultant at UWC for 8 years before joining SANSA, who she calls her work family. Her motto is change the future of one family by sending a child to university. Juchelle, when you're ready, please go ahead.
Thank you, Zama. Let me just share. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so now let me just video off. There we go. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm happy to see there's some of our current bursars on this webinar. Hi guys, for those of you who haven't seen my face yet. So as Zama said, I'm the SANSA Student Administrator. And I'm responsible for TLC recruitment and seeing that our students graduate in the minimum time set for them, and we assist them with any interventions if they need study assistance. So I'm kicking off my presentation with a photo of one of our PhD students. He is now, I think, Dr. Godfrey Masoto, presenting to Minister Blade Nzimande at the 2019 budget speech. This is just to show you that we encourage our students to grab any opportunity they have to present and to further themselves, and where we can help, we assist. Let's just, sorry. There we go. So how do I promote SANSA and create visibility and recruit students? So we visit universities when they host career fairs. Our researchers present the skills and the projects at universities. And we also encourage our students to partake in science advancement programs. My colleague Nthabiseng mentioned exhibitions at the local mall. So our PhD and MSc students that's on site here in Hermanus normally join them, and then they park the mobile lab in the middle of the mall, and they tell this the community what we're up to. So I just want to quickly show you some of our engagements. So this is one of our SANSA open days. So that is one of our PhD students being interviewed by our local radio station. This is some of the experiments we do. Students assisting young learners with their tasks. This is a balloon experiment that is led by our chief scientist, Dr. Michael Kosh. And then this is a picture of, I think 2019 or 2018 Antarctic takeover team. So we also encourage our master's and PhD students to be part of the Antarctic takeover team as soon as they've submitted their thesis. And here is one of my former colleagues, or not former colleagues, she was one of my former bursars. She's now a colleague, Dr. Amore Nell. So as you can see, whenever there's opportunities at SANSA to absorb our bursars and they have the skills that we need, we do employ them. Student groups, we use the SANSA facility. So we mostly have PhD and master students that's supervised or co-supervised by our SANSA researchers. We have a cohort of them living on site at the Hermanus facility. We also, our supervisors co-supervise honors projects. We do not support students who only do masters by coursework because we're very interested in the research aspect of the studies. We also have a number of interns and volunteers who spend a year or two at SANSA, depending on their contracts. We offer vacation work to various students, depending if that's a need for them to complete their qualification. We host undergrad, winter and summer schools, and we also host international students as part of our collaboration with international universities and other space agencies. And all the pictures you see here, it's pictures of those groups that came to visit SANSA. So who do we fund? So as previously mentioned, we are interested in the STEM study fields. So it's your science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. A couple of years back, we had a dream. We wanted to bring solar physics and its expertise to South Africa. And we wanted to be the institution to have the first qualified solar physicist. So we made that dream happen, and we now have expert in solar physics as our research chair based here at the Hermanus facility, and also extraordinary professor at the University of the Western Cape. So physics, engineering, many of the engineering fields, as you can see, systems, satellite, RF radar, mechatronics, electrical, electronic, information systems, data science, computer science, and electronics engineering. Oh, mentioned that already, sorry. IT and software development, remote sensing and GIS, statistics, space science, and I said etc. because we are interested in any project that's related to our mandate. So later on, I will share our research portal link with you. So there's some examples of the projects that we're involved in, but that is not set in stone. So if you have a project that you think is related to the space industry and space weather and satellite building and has remote sensing or GIS linked to that, please do me a favor and send your proposal and we will have a look at it and we'll have further discussions around that. So our students, this is just some things that our students get up to, our bursars. So there's a couple of pictures. This is one of our student workshops. So we host every second year, we have a SANSA Student workshop. I'm busy planning our third student workshop that will be a virtual event. Some of our students, our bursars, are having fun in our science center that was mentioned. We have fun with our executive as well. This is our ED of engineering. And then we are the only space with a winning center in Africa. So this is a tour of just the bursars taking a tour in our space with the center. Here's our ladies in science, some of our students, and this here's our PhD group of 2019. This is another lovely picture in our space weather center. So we encourage our students also, like I said, to go out in the community. So getting them together in a student workshop environment. The engineering students, the physics students, and the earth science students then see how their different fields of study interlink to help us fulfill SANSA's mandate. So how do you apply for our bursaries? Our online call opens in July of every year. We fund postgraduate students, as mentioned, so it's your honors, masters, and PhD students. There's email addresses that I want you to jot down. So I manage all of them. You can find more information on our website. And then, as mentioned, our research portal, where you can go and have a look at all of our projects. And I'm going to reiterate, please send us anything that is related. So if you don't want to do any of the projects that's on our portal, you are more than welcome to do a project with your university supervisor that is in line with our projects. And then I was asked to tell everybody a little bit about myself. So as mentioned in the beginning by Zama, I graduated from the University of the Western Cape with a psychology degree. I wanted to become a psychologist, do my master's, do my PhD, and then, as they say, life happened. So I ended up after working as a floor assistant at Fushimi, I ended up as a student assistant at the University of the Western Cape's Financial Aid Office. So I think there I grew a passion for something that was always near and dear to my heart, and that was the plight of students. When the opportunity arose, I applied for the bursary consultant position. And from there, I got the opportunity to come work at SANSA. So I feel that in today's day and age, sometimes students think that if they don't have money, they cannot study. That is a total myth. I'm here to bust that. Be sure to, if there's any undergraduate students listening to our webcast today, apply for more than one bursary, apply to more than one university if you want to do your postgraduate studies, not at the university you're at, apply to more than one university. Make sure that you want to go into academia before you take up your master's or PhD. Some of the students will know that it's not as easy, but it's worth your while if you persist. And I chose this picture because my colleagues say I'm always in a hurry. So this is a picture of me hurrying somewhere during an open day. And then if you miss anything else of the information that I put on the slide for the bursaries, this is the email address that you must use if you want to ask me any questions that's bursary related, project related, or you want to know more about one of our researchers. And that is me, thank you. We will ask questions afterwards. I just quickly want to give you some stats. So when I started out in 2016, we had about 34 bursars. In 2017, we had 74 bursars because we had some money left over from the previous year. And we hosted about 71 of those students for a student workshop here in Hermanus. And currently we have 60 bursars that we fund for 2021. So you guys must have a lovely day, and I hope to see some applications for the 2023 bursary call. Thank you.
Thank you, Juchelle. I can definitely attest to how Juchelle champions the students and their well-being as part of the people who actually supervise them and more concerned with their academic work. Just to prove that we do actually support students, it's not like a thing that we claim. We actually invited one of our former students to present today. So the last speaker is going to be Mpho Bogatso, who is a GIS and remote sensing analyst who obtained her MSc degree from the University of Witwatersrand, which was funded by SANSA. She is part of the GIS technical team at the Research Institute for Innovation and Sustainability, and her work includes collecting and processing data, developing GIS models for industry sectors, designing research approaches, and analyzing information to produce insights and advice for an array of stakeholders. So Mpho, welcome, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Zama. Let me just share my screen. Can you just confirm if you can see my slides?
Yes, I can see your slide. Thank you.
Right. Thanks. My connection has been shaky. So I'm just going to stop my video for a while so that I can maintain bandwidth. But you can all still hear me, right?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. So good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Mpho Bogatso, and I am one of SANSA's bursary program alumni. They funded both my honors as well as my master's degree. And today I'm a qualified GIS and remote sensing specialist working as an analyst for a management consulting company called REIS. Which is an acronym for the Research Institute of Innovation and Sustainability. So today I'll be walking you all through a bit of my journey from the classroom all the way to the boardroom. I'll be structuring my conversation around the following points. So firstly, I'll walk you through the type of subjects that I did in high school as well as in university, from undergrad all the way to postgrad. I'll also mention what prompted me to study GIS and remote sensing, as well as where I got to hear about SANSA's bursary opportunities and how I ended up applying and being granted the bursary. I'll also cover my experience as a recipient of the SANSA bursary program and the impact that the student workshop had in me successfully completing my degree in record time. Then finally, I'll close off by speaking a bit about my current job as an analyst and some of the projects that the company I work for has collaborated on with SANSA. So now I'll be honest, when I was in high school, I never dreamed I'd be doing what I'm doing with my life right now, nor did I ever think I'd be a qualified scientist, more especially in the geographical and environmental sciences field. And it's quite evident from my subject choices in high school. So I was always a bright student in school and was awarded Duck Scholar and even made it and was even made head girl. And for some reason in my head, this said to me that I was meant to follow a conventional career path, such as being a doctor, accountant, or lawyer. So I chose subjects that I thought would act as a stepping stone for me to follow the aforementioned career paths. It wasn't actually until I got to university that I discovered my passion for environmental sciences and Earth observations. So admittedly, I wasted a year of my life studying something I didn't enjoy, but I will forever be grateful to my parents who allowed me to deregister for medicine and apply for a general BSc. So as you can see from the slide, I only mentioned the subjects that that contributed to me becoming a GIS specialist and not from the previous degree. So essentially what you see here as my first year in a Bachelor of Science degree was actually my second year in varsity. And I don't regret it one bit, nor have I ever looked back since then. So I majored in geography and geology in undergrad. And something that some of you may not know is that geography can be divided into 3 disciplines, namely human geography, environmental geography, and physical geography. So in first year, what the Wits School of Geography, Archaeology, and Environmental does is they expose you to all 3 disciplines, and then from second year onwards, you can start choosing what you would like to major in. And from my first exposure to geographical information systems, I knew that's what I wanted to major in. So from that school, I had access to excellent course coordinators who helped me choose subjects that were aligned with my ultimate goal of becoming a GIS specialist. And then from then on, the rest was relatively a breeze. Yeah, the research that I conducted also was aligned with what I wanted to do, which was become a GIS specialist. So to segue into how I found out about the SANSA bursary program, I was in the process of completing my undergrad, and one of my lecturers sent out an email about different funding opportunities for people who were considering postgrad. Shortly after that, I started seeing SANSA posters on our school's notice boards and hearing about the opportunities that SANSA has from other students who were already part of the program. And that's when I made my decision to apply. The application process was pretty straightforward, and I just had to send through all the relevant documentation that Juchelle mentioned, along with a testimonial from my supervisor and the research topic that I wanted to pursue. I did all this in August 2015, and in December, I received a letter from SANSA stating that my bursary application was successful and they would be funding my honors degree in 2016. That was honestly one of the highlights of my academic journey. I'll now move on to start speaking about my experience as a SANSA bursary recipient. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And these are some of the pictures taken during our workshop that took place in Hermanus in the Western Cape. We got to spend a week there and got to meet other bursary recipients from across the country. And it was a great networking opportunity, as well as like I'm still in touch with some of them, and it's just great to see how each person is making a contribution to science in one way or another. We got to also present our research projects and got some useful feedback on our methodologies and other research approaches. I found this workshop particularly useful to me, and it showed that SANSA wasn't just there for us financially, but we're also interested in seeing us reach our maximum potential academically. So after I completed my master's degree, I felt ready to take on the working world. So I started applying for jobs, and the road was a bit bumpy at first with the start of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. But I was fortunate enough to land a job at GIS as an analyst. I formed part of the GIS technical team, and my work includes, as stated by Zama earlier on, collecting, processing data, developing GIS models, designing research approaches, and also analyzing information to produce insights and advice for an array of stakeholders. So GIS has many applications, and on screen is just a snapshot of the things we are able to do using the GIS platform and other visualization tools such as Microsoft and Power BI. So Reese, the company that I work for, is a management consulting company focused on facilitating and leading open innovation activity in Africa. And because of this, it has led to it working with SANSA on a number of projects over the years. So here I have just mentioned a few, such as the Africa Earth Observation Challenge, which is in its 6th iteration this year. So it is an annually run open innovation challenge that started in 2016. And what was different about this year is that we opened it up and made it a Pan-African challenge and received applications from 17 different countries across the African continent. So we were super excited about that. We also worked on a feasibility study for the establishment of a space tech acceleration program for the Department of Science and Innovation. And last but not least, we also are supporting the PMO transition of Digital Earth Africa from Australia to South Africa, where SANSA has been chosen to become the implementing partner. So Reese has been contracted to help facilitate this transition. So we work on a lot of projects in various sectors. So to find out more about Reese, please head over to our website. I'll share that information at the end of this presentation. And you can also check us out on Facebook and LinkedIn. Yes, so these are the contacts that you can use. My email is also there if you have further questions. And I guess my closing remark would be that I really hope more youth start taking a shining to science, especially the space science field, because even though SANSA has made significant strides since it was launched, we still have a gap in the amount of qualified people in these fields. But I think SANSA's bursary program and all the initiatives that they've taken try and bridge this gap. And I hope that I will continue to see more and more young people excited and pursuing careers in space science, because to just take my word for it, it is a very cool and innovative career to take on. I'd also like to just thank Davis Cook, who is the CEO for REIS, and other executive at REIS, such as Theru, along with my team members who I work with closely, who all play an instrumental role at fueling the passion that I have for Earth observations and space science. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mpho. It's quite lovely to hear how the former bursars are getting on their career, succeeding, and also it is very nice that you still have that link with SANSA through the projects that you are currently, your current company is involved in partnership with SANSA. So it is now time for questions. I would read the questions in the chat box and if any as well in the Q&A folder or a box. So the first one is from the Douglas Moyeni, who has been very faithful in attending the seminars and these webinars, which we are grateful for. Douglas asks, I think this question is for, it's for Nthabiseng. He asks if you have been in rural areas in other provinces. The events that you show, he says, are only for the Eastern Cape. Are those for only the Eastern Cape, or are they inclusive? Nthabiseng, do you want to take on this question?
Yes, thank you for your question, Douglas. We don't only just go to Eastern Cape, we've been to many other provinces. Like I mentioned, we've been to KZN, we've been to Free State, and the activities that I was showing are inclusive of all those provinces that we've been to.
Great, thank you, Nthabiseng. The next one again from Douglas goes to Juchelle, and he asks, do you mind explaining what you meant by you do not sponsor students who do coursework? Does this include those astrophysics who plan on doing space science MSc with projects in space?
Okay, I'm just going to clarify quickly. We do fund master students that do coursework because some of the courses require you to do 6 months or a year coursework, but that must go hand in hand with the research. So you must have a project. There is master's qualifications that only require you to do coursework, and those we do not fund. We are very interested in your research and the outputs of that, so that we can see how we can implement that. Am I correct, Dr. Zama?
Put me in a spot, don't you? Yes, so basically, as Juchelle says, if you do coursework, it must be in addition to doing research. So for example, there's a program called the National Astrophysics and Space Science Program, which has honors and MSc streams. And in the master stream, for example, you do 6 months of coursework and then a year or year and a half of research. So if you do something similar, then SANSA can fund you. But if your MSc is purely just coursework, then SANSA doesn't fund that. And if I can just add, Juchelle, please correct me if I'm wrong, we also do not fund part-time students, correct? You must be full students.
That's correct. No part-time students and unfortunately no working students. So if you have a permanent job, we can also not fund you.
Good. So that should answer Douglas's questions for now, unless he has furthermore. So we
there's one question.
We have a request from Juchelle. Yeah, sorry, Juchelle.
Sorry, I just want to give some clarity. There's another question from Douglas that I just want to address.
Yeah.
So Douglas asked that why did we decrease our bursars that we funded, because I mentioned 2017.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Sorry, I was going in order, but yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So Douglas, I mentioned that we had funds that rolled over from 2016 that we did not spend. So that automatically led to us having funds to fund more students. And the number of students we fund depend on the amount we get from DSI. And we need to spend all the money every year in order to get more funds for the following year. So I hope that answers your question. Sorry, Zama, for jumping in there.
No, no problem, none so ever. So Sne, I think Sinenkosi had an audio problem, and this is actually a great opportunity to just let everybody know that these webinars are recorded and are shared on YouTube. The link will be shared with you on the chat box. So if you had any technical problems or maybe you missed some of the webinars, you can actually watch them on YouTube. So then the Douglas question again has been answered. Then the next question is from Innocent, who says she or he is doing a BSc honors in mathematics and working on a project related to fluid dynamics model. I would like to know what job opportunities are available for mathematical sciences students at SANSA. Juchelle, that is for you.
Mama, I saw a chief scientist is here. Can we get him out of sick leave?
No.
Only joking.
This is women. It's a women webinar. So
in a sense, so listen, SANSA is always expanding. Okay. So I'm not gonna say we always have opportunities available for mathematics. If you go on our research portal, you will see that there is one of our researchers that is into mathematics and plasma physics. So you can do yourself a favor, go check it out. And then if you have any further questions, send me an email.
right. Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm going to skip this question from Douglas because I think it's related to the decrease in the number of students. And get back to Innocent, who also asked, what are the skills and any additional courses required for one to get a job at SANSA? Juchelle.
Well, Innocent, we heard this week that education never stops. So I will not have a direct answer for you. So when you are, say, after your qualifications and you are in a job and your dream is to work at SANSA, you will have to see in which direction that is, which position it is, and keep on doing whatever additional courses there are. Because after your formal qualification, and my colleagues can attest to that, there's still learning to be done as you go along. So after your formal education, you will require more skills. And for that, again, I will ask you to rather email me so that I can find out for you from the scientists and the researchers what additional things they did to further their careers.
Great, thank you, Juchelle. So let me see. I'm sorry, Innocent, yes, you're female. Sorry, thank you for that. Then Chester Maimele asked, for someone who has a BSc Mathematics and Statistics, who wants to be a GIS and remote sensing analyst. So this question would be from Mpho. What is the path to take? Do I need to have a background in geography or not?
Thanks, Sama. Yes, you will definitely need a background in geography. So remember, I mentioned that there's 3 disciplines. So you can either take on human geography, physical geography, or environmental geography. So I would advise you take physical geography, which is where GIS, you find GIS, but it could also work out for you in the environmental division. But the reason why you need a background in GIS is because it is systems and software dependent. So you basically need to learn about how to operate things like ArcGIS and also work with other open source software, also the likes of what you call this Power BI. So that knowledge can only be derived from actually pursuing geography and focusing on GIS skills.
Okay, great. Thank you for that advice, Mpho. I do not see any other questions, and therefore I just would like to thank all the speakers for today. I hope that the participants have gained very useful information, and that also, Juchelle, I'll get back to you just now, and that you will be maybe, if you have missed any of the presentation or webinars, you can actually catch them on our YouTube channel, which Dalian has posted for us. So it's youtube.com/user.sa-agency. And then I don't know if Juchelle maybe wants to talk. Before I go to the request by Juchelle for the student to put on their cameras, there is a request from, there's a question from Dr. Shandu, who would like to know about the volunteering program for Earth observation in this unprecedented times. I'd like to be engaged in the program. So is there any volunteering program in Earth observation? Maybe Nthabiseng and Mpho can talk to this.
What I know is there's recently posts for volunteers, and there's been interviews at the moment. So maybe the person, Shandu, can be on the lookout for that. Keep checking when they advertise and they can apply again.
So maybe you can say, do they advertise Nthabiseng on our website?
Yes, they do advertise on our website. Do
you know maybe the time of year? So maybe he can like check, is it usually second half of the year, first half of the year, or is it like
this time of the year? Because what I know is we recently had interviews for volunteers. Yes.
So Dr. Shandu, maybe starting in July or so, you can periodically check the SANSA website for volunteering opportunities. But I think also the NRF and the DSI have a volunteering or an intern program. So you could also look at the NRF website, which I will post, or maybe Juchelle, can you post that for everybody on the chat box for me, please?
Okay.
So Dr. Shandu, you can have a look at that at the NRF, for example, for volunteering and intern opportunities. Okay, great. So as I mentioned, before we go to Juchelle's request, I'd like to repeat the competition information again. And just let you guys know that we have been running a competition to win a SANSA goodie bag. And no, there are no prizes for the worst answers. Only the correct answers will get prizes. And as I said, each webinar in this week had a question. So maybe if you miss a webinar, you can look at it on our YouTube page, which is also posted on our on this chat box over here. And then you email all 5 answers to us at space-size-info@sansa.org.za. That email address again is posted on the chat box. And the question for today is, how many students did SANSA fund for 2021? Then before we close, Juchelle has requested something. Now I can't find the request. So Juchelle, you can come on board and ask your students something.
Okay, so with COVID and me not being able to travel, I haven't seen my 2021 bursars in person yet. So there's a couple of them here. And any other students that's online, can you please turn on your cameras for us?
So while they're doing that, I see there's a last minute question from Nthabiseng Moloi, who says, I specialize in business applications. Will I have to study further to join SANSA? Maybe I can suggest Nthabiseng, sorry, that Thabo email Juchelle, and maybe give a little bit more information on exactly the business application qualification, and then you can get more information on that. Juchelle will populate the inbox again, the chat box, with the email address. You can use Thabo for that correspondence.
It seems like they don't want me to see their faces.
So please, students, SANSA students, or SANSA funded students, please put on your, if you can, bandwidth and data allows, please.
If not, it's fine.
On your videos. Besides that, I again thank everybody who has attended our webinars. I hope you have learned and have been excited with the information about what SANSA is doing currently, and the future plans that we have in terms of space, and particularly in terms of space weather Earth observations, as well as human capital development. We look forward to engaging with you again on our future webinars, and one day, hopefully, you can visit our facility in Hermanus. Have a good afternoon, enjoy the weekend, and thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.